So you mentioned that you were also like, is property an investment? Should I be investing in property? So let's maybe talk about what investing in property actually means. What does that look like? If I'm sitting here as TK or as a 25-year-old and I'm thinking about property as an investment, what should I be thinking about? Hello, fellow trailblazers. Welcome to another episode on Escapes and Money Adventures with TK. In today's episode, we get to chat about one of my absolute favorite topics. We are talking everything property. Should I invest in property or should I not? Should I buy that house or should I not? Is property even a good investment to start off with? And to have the conversation, we have what I love to call a subject matter expert. Hello, madam. How are you? And welcome to Money Adventures with TK.
Hi, TK.
How are you feeling today?
I'm good. And myself.
Right. So let's talk about my favorite topic, property. So before we get into the conversation today, tell us who you are and what you want people to know about you.
Okay, TK. Ntsebeng Chabeli. I'm a property professional and finance as well.
Yeah.
I'm a founder of Tlhoeli Consult. Sorry, it's fairly new. It's a property advisory company. We do property research. We advise developers, property owners. Yes, on if you want to develop, we give you a feasibility study. If what you have is viable, that's what we do. We look at holistically the whole property sector in general.
I love the holistically.
Yes,
section.
because property has a lot of asset classes. You be a developer, you're an investor, you're a property owner. Yes, we advise you in that regard.
So before you get to the advising part, what got you into property? Why property? I mean, there's so many things, so many careers to consider. Why specifically property?
You'd be very shocked, TK. My background is actually economics and statistics.
Aha, okay.
Yes. So I got to have some conversations with my mentors. I remember, I think it was when Mall of Africa was being developed. So I was actually looking at some feasibility study on Mall of Africa. Then I saw a lot of economists there doing some feasibilities and what. It was a whole lot of a comprehensive report. Then I was like, okay, property is also an investment. When here at home, you take time looking for a job, you get part-time jobs, you're a data analyst, you data capturer, a whole lot of things. Then that's when I got a little bit of enlightenment on property. Then I had the interest to study property. I just applied. Actually, my parents didn't understand, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to manage buildings? Which buildings?
So is this when you are doing the postgraduate? Because
that's when I did the postgraduate in property management and development. Yes. And then when I got to the property class, then I found people with a background in economics. I found QS people. I found architecture. I'm like, oh. And my professor also had like a real estate background. Sorry, not real estate background, but economics background. A master's in economics and a PhD in real estate. Then I was like, oh, I'm in the right class.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I felt a bit comfortable and yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then I loved it then, and I really got to love property and got to know the whole aspect of it, or what it entails, everything, yeah.
So you mentioned that you were also like, is property an investment? Should I be investing in property? So let's maybe talk about what investing in property actually means. What does that look like? If I'm sitting here as TK or as a 25-year-old and I'm thinking about property as an investment, what should I be thinking about?
Firstly, I think I always say you should have the interest to have the knowledge out there, what is there. Because property entails a whole lot of asset classes, processes, So you must be open-minded to learn and know what is there because you have the interest. Like when you have the interest, you want to find out, you are eager to know. Okay, so you have to know that property is not just housing. Property has a whole lot of asset classes. You your warehouses, you have your neighborhood center, even in retail as it is.
Wow, okay.
You know, in retail, you have your neighborhood centers, you have your shopping complexes, you have your regional shopping centers, you have your super regionals. I think here at home, we have a shopping center because they actually define them in terms of square meters. So the bigger it is, then they have the classifications.
Okay.
We have your special properties, your filling stations, you know. Property is big. It's not just housing. You know, people want to think of flats, bachelor units. You know, property is huge because, like, you talk of your investments. I know you are a financial wellness advisor. I think I'm correct with that. Whereby you'll be advising people. You have a whole lot of bonds, unit trusts. You know.
Yes.
Even in property, they are it's part of a whole value chain of investments, like your bonds and everything. But even within property, you have different asset classes.
My goodness.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So now, obviously, with all this information, I'm now very excited to say that, you know what, there's so much more to property than just owning a unit or a flat or the duplex, line, as it were. You know. So now I'm thinking, how do I get into property investing? I have the interest.
Yes.
Now I want to get into property investing. I'm 25 years old. I'm possibly 30 years old. Where do I start?
Property, it involves a lot of money, hey? It's not like buying a share and then tomorrow you buy another share. It's a long-term decision. You need to decide on it. Also, can you afford it? Are you able to get financing, like your bond financing? So if you are a 25-year-old and maybe you have a permanent job, you can talk to your bank and you're able to get. You need financing.
Yeah.
Like from equity, you can't really. You are young. You haven't even saved enough money. When you talk of property, you talk of millions. Maybe if you want to buy maybe a block of flats, land may be a bit affordable, but still sometimes you need financing as well to buy land. So if you're 25 and you're able to have that bond financing, it's important also to approach your bank. I actually always tell people that don't approach, like, let's say you use your bank, you're comfortable with your bank, is advanced with technology, it might not give you the perfect package in terms of bond financing, right? So you have to explore all banks and get a right bank which will actually talk to you in terms, because actually sometimes banks finance differently, you know. The loan to value ratios, the other one will say, okay, TK wants to buy a property and the market price of the property is 1 million, right? Then the other bank will say, I'm going to finance you 90%, which is the loan to value, right? Yeah. Which means the 10% has to come wholly from you
as
right?
deposit, yes.
You get to another bank and the other bank says, no, you're young. Maybe the risk, they look at it different. Banks are different.
Very true.
Right?
Yes.
So maybe you explore another bank, you find, okay, this bank is going to finance me with a LTV, loan to value of 70%, meaning, you see, it differs. So you have to you have to find out information out there.
And
don't just say because, okay, I use this particular bank, you know, it's technologically advanced, I'm able to do whatever whenever I'm traveling, where I'm doing what. When it comes to bond financing, you need to explore all other things and find out, like,
I love what you say, that firstly you have to do the research, and obviously you need financing and some sort of capital for you to acquire the building, the land, and everything else. So let's suppose I'm 25-year-old and I've got maybe 1,000 rand to spare, and I don't necessarily want to own the brick and mortar. Is there a way that through a collective investment scheme or a fund that I can use my 1,000 rand and invest in funds that invest in property? Is that something that we can consider?
Okay, I can give you an example of a South African property market. They have the real estate investment trust, whereby you don't actually have to own. You can invest in a real estate investment trust, as in buy shares there. You are investing in property, but you're not actually owning
the physical.
You're not actually owning. When it comes to our market, we have like your unit trust, which also still invest in real estate investment trust. So you can
So there are options.
There are options.
So I don't necessarily have to go out and own the brick and mortar. I can invest in funds or investments that invest in
I'm
properties.
saying real estate investment trusts.
Yes.
Yeah, you invest in companies that own property. Yeah, you can even go, with your easy equities and everything. You would actually, from Lesotho, you can invest, So you can explore that. Even the asset management companies still put their investments in real estate investment trusts. Yeah. But for us in Lesotho, we don't have such. So you need to, if you are interested in property, right? You have to learn, know what's out there, have others credit consult to advise you. Yeah, we the professionals can advise you in that regard.
So now, back to the 25 or 30-year-old who's thinking, should I buy a couple? Should I build my own house? Should I have my own house, or should I rent? And I know this conversation always pops up. Should I buy or should I rent? Sometimes people will say, no, buy because you can't be paying someone else's own bond. And some people will be like, no, it's easier for me to rent instead of buying and being tied down for 20 years. What are your views on should I buy or should I rent?
I think there's no right or wrong because it depends. Sometimes you're not permanent somewhere, and also when you want to own property, it goes to where do you want to live. It's a long-term decision. Location really counts. You don't just pick a place and say I just want to own. You have your own preferences, right? If you're not sure yet, right, you can still rent. You can still rent. I always say there's no right or wrong.
It depends on the
because somebody
person,
says no, I don't want to be here I want to move. Some people have they don't want to be here forever.
Especially when you are in the early stages of your career.
You can move any. But also sometimes even if you own TK, you can still sell.
Or rent it out.
Or rent it out and invest. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah. So the other question, this is where I want to tap into your consultancy aspect as well, So some people will say, I've got land and I want to develop the house by myself. I want to build the house using a contractor that is hopefully qualified and experienced. Or somebody can just say, I actually want a turnkey solution where the contractor does all the development and I buy the house as a complete unit and a turnkey solution.
Yeah.
So based on your experience, which option or what should people consider when they are choosing between either building, getting financing from the bank and building using a contractor, or actually just going to property developers and then just buying a house off plan or on plan?
I would say 10K is convenient. That's the advantage of it. But if you have the time and the patience, also you check the cost effectiveness. You need to check how much are you spending. That's what you have to look down also. The cost,
the budget,
But if you're able to if it depends on the patients. Sometimes you want it fast, the 10K can work. But if you have the patience and you're around, and also it can be very stressing. Also, if you have to look at get the contractor, you have to gradually look at what is happening. You're busy. The 10K can work. But if you have the patience and time to check what is happening, to frequently talk to your contractor, it's still good. But for me, I always check the cost. And the affordability as well.
Cost and affordability.
Yes.
So in closing, if people want to get more information or get more information or consult with you, where do they find you?
For now, they can find me on LinkedIn, Ntsebeng Chabeli. Tlhoeli is very new, so we are still working on
the company profile.
Yes.
And congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So predominantly on LinkedIn. If you are looking to connect Ntsebeng, I will link her LinkedIn profile in the description box below. And if you do have any questions regarding property, what are you thinking about? Leave those questions and comments and suggestions in the description box below. We would love to hear from you. It has been such an exciting conversation. I saw your energy and your passion as we are talking about property. So if you're thinking of investing in property, this is the conversation that you need to be listening to. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, have fun with your money, enjoy property investing, and love, peace, and money. Until the next video, where we bring you fresh content on anything personal finance, money, and travel. Signing out. Cheers, guys.